Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the webinar today. My name is Joe Connolly. I'm the director of the Partnership for Worker Education. Obviously, this is a tough time for a lot of people that we're in right now. Sorry, we have to go through this. I'm especially regretful for people on extended furlough. This morning, we, however, have a great panel of people who can address your questions on how to get unemployment benefits. We're extremely lucky to have these people assist us. Today we have Carol Snyder, Megan Williams, Luis Hernandez, John Drinkwater, and behind the scenes we have Jeff Napolitano from our own program doing technical work. Last week we focused on employees who are on extended furlough. This week we're doing webinars for people on 2-week furlough. Last June, we had about 1,400 people attend our sessions for the 1-week furlough. 9,000 people visited our website for additional information. What you see on the screen, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, that's our website address. If you'd like additional information, I'll mention that at the end of the session as well. We'll have a recording of this session. We'll have guides. We'll have facts. We'll have translations as well into different languages. As well, this session is really intended to navigate the unemployment system. It's not intended to address specific campus UMass questions. If you have those, and there are a lot of questions out there, you want to address those to the email address that's highlighted in yellow, covid19hr@umass.edu. There's a team of people from HR who are fielding those questions and they'll get back to you. Without further ado, let's go to John Drinkwater from the Mass AFL and from Rapid Response. To you, John.
Thanks, Joe. We at the Massachusetts AFL-CIO, we are a labor federation representing unions throughout the state, and we maintain a very good working relationship with all of the unions on the UMass campus, not just on issues like these, but on all kinds of issues. In addition to working with the unions on the campus, we're also a part of the state rapid response team who you're going to hear from now. So we often act as a liaison between unions and the state team. Really just over the past few months where unfortunately there's been so many issues that have come up, the state team and the unions on campus, the Partnership for Working Education have really been working together closely to make sure that employees are getting access to all of the information and resources they need. But we're certainly here as the AFL-CIO to serve as that liaison, on any kinds of issues. So, we can be contacted directly, or we can be contacted both through, through Joe at the center or the campus unions on issues related to, state workforce assistance or anything else. So just wanted to make that brief introduction and let you all know that we are here as the AFL-CIO as a resource, and I know the information in today's presentation is going to be very, very helpful in navigating through this tough time, which nobody wants to see. So thank you for that, Joe, giving me a couple minutes to just quickly introduce ourselves, and we'll turn it back over. Thanks.
All right. Thanks very much, John. And to you, Carol.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Snyder. I work for Rapid Response for the Dislocated Worker Program for the state of Massachusetts. With me today, representing the western part of the state, will be Megan Williams and Luis Hernandez. And we would like to thank UMass for inviting us today. And just keep in mind, this is a difficult time, but we are definitely here to assist and to help you. We will, during this presentation, take your questions at the end. If you want to go to the question and answer section and put your question in there. At the end of the presentation, we'll go through all the questions and try to answer all of them for you. If it's an HR question, obviously, we can't answer those, but if it's unemployment question or something along that line, we are here to help. And I'm going to turn it over this morning, giving the presentation will be Lewis.
Thank you, Carol. Welcome, everyone, to our rapid response furlough and unemployment information session. This morning, we are going to concentrate and focus on what you'll need to open or reopen a claim, an unemployment claim, how and when to open it, and what is your responsibility once that claim has been opened. And before we start that, just to give you a little information on what is rapid response. Rapid response is a federally mandated program through the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act. We are designed to help not only the businesses throughout the Commonwealth, but also the employees that are experiencing a layoff or a closing. We are part of the Mass Hire Department of Career Services, and we also partner up with the Mass Hire Career Centers. And so there's a lot of individuals that are all in play to help you. And just to reiterate what Carol said, we are here because we are interested in helping you either just get through the next couple of weeks if you're experiencing a temporary layoff, or if it's something else that we can help you with, definitely we will be there to do so. Here's a list of all the contacts throughout the Commonwealth. If you notice on the bottom right-hand part of this slide, you'll see the Western region. You'll have Carol Snyder, Megan Williams, and my email addresses. And that's probably the best way to contact us if you have any questions. Also, so that we know exactly where the question is coming from. If you're going to email us, and you would please put on your subject line, help UMass, that'll allow us to know exactly that it's a UMass issue, and we can address it individually and give you the best information. So opening up an unemployment claim, there's two different ways in which you open a claim, but let me start off by saying that in order to open an unemployment claim, you have to be unemployed, which means that you have to have already started working. You can't think, well, I'm gonna be furloughed in 2 weeks, so let me get the process started right now. You have to wait to be unemployed. And so once that happens, and we're gonna go through some examples of when you can open your claim, but once it's time to open the claim, you can go online onto www.mass.gov/DUA and simply follow the prompts. You'll go through a series of questions, carefully look at each question and answer them. The other way is you can call the Teleclaim Center at 877-626-6800. They are available Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. through 4 p.m. And if you are gonna choose the Teleclaim Center as your way of opening the claim, then I would ask you to take a look at the chart that we have on here, and it shows the assigned day for you to call. And each individual that is opening a claim will have an assigned day based on the last digit of your social security number. So if your last digit is 0 or 1, you would call in on Monday. If it's 2 or 3, you would call in on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. Anyone could call in on Friday. Any last digit is fine, and they will take a call on Friday. What you'll need in order to open that claim is your social security number or an alien registration number. You want to make sure that you have your current information with that. Also an email address, and we highly recommend that you use your personal email address and not the university's email address, simply because they may send you correspondence through an inbox and it may be time sensitive. You want to make sure that you are getting that, receiving it quickly and sending it out as quickly as possible. You'll also need employment start and end dates, and Department of Unemployment is looking for any employment you may have had within the last 15 months. So if you need to go back, just make sure you have the start dates on any other employment you may have had. Your reason for separation will be layoff or lack of work only. The reason we have this on this slide is because you have a few choices when you get to that page, the reason for separation, and a furlough is not on that list. Department of Unemployment does not see furlough as a reason for separation. So this will be considered a layoff, even though it's just a temporary layoff, but it's still considered a layoff. And that will make sure that you don't have any issues or any problems when you open up the claim. You'll also need your banking information, routing number, account number, and we'll get into a little bit more of why you'll need this if you're going to request your funds to come in through direct deposit. Also, if you have dependents, you will need their social security number and their date of birth. You'll also need a federal employer identification number, and you can find that on your W-2 form. You can find that also on UMass's website, but we will provide that information for you at the end. So if you wanna hold off, and we'll get a pen and we'll get that information to you before we're done. Now, just to let you know, there's going to be a question in there once you've initiated the claim. Are you out of work because you have been impacted by COVID-19? You want to make sure that you answer yes to that. And there's a couple reasons why, and we'll explain that as we go along with our presentation. But so far, this is what you need in order to open that claim. Now, if you already opened the claim in the last 52 weeks and you went back to work, you maybe earned too much money if you were working part-time and you couldn't collect, you already have an open claim. You can reopen and reuse that claim. You simply log into your UI online account, or you can call the Department of Unemployment Assistance at 866-626-6800, and you can ask them and inform them that you need to reopen a claim. Online, if you go online, you'll notice that on your left-hand side, you'll see just a tab that says, or a link that says reopen claim. And you can click on that. It'll ask you to verify your contact information, your payment method. Just go through that information, answer the questions, the claimant questions, and enter your employer details. And once you've done that, then you can submit your request. It's that easy, reopening a claim. So if you already have, and because a claim is open for 52 weeks, if you already have one that's available, then you simply reopen your claim. Now, here's an example of when to open your claim. So let's say that in this example, this week will be a regular work week. Friday will be your last day, and then you go into a furlough week. So next week, you are technically unemployed. Starting Sunday, that week is your furlough week. You can, if you're going to opt to do open up your claim online, you can do it on Sunday. If you're going to use the telephone, the teleclaim center, then you would call Monday morning if that's your assigned day. But you have that whole week to open your claim during that furlough week. The following week, you go back to work. And that week, that Sunday, we would recommend that you request your UI benefits then. Again, you have the whole week, but we always suggest do it early in the week. So that's how you would open up, that's when you would open up your claim and request UI benefits. Now, how are your unemployment insurance benefits determined? Well, again, I mentioned that the benefit year is 52 weeks. It's effective for 52 weeks. What they do is they take 4 quarters of your employment, and they throw out the 2 lowest, they keep the 2 highest, and based on the 2 highest quarters, they come up with an average weekly salary. And usually you get about 50% of that average weekly salary. The minimum or the maximum benefit rate has just gone up to $855 per week as of October 4th. And something that we did want to include is that due to the CARES Act, eligible individuals may also receive an additional 13 weeks of unemployment if the original claim is exhausted. And this will be good through December 31st, 2020. We don't know what else may be coming down the road, but as of right now, if your original claim is exhausted, you may be entitled or you may be eligible for additional weeks of unemployment. Now, we spoke about dependents. And Massachusetts is one of the only states in the country that will offer a dependency allowance, which means that you can receive up to $25 per child per week. What you have to remember is that in order to be eligible, you pay or you contribute towards more than 50% of the child support. And because of the situation that we're in right now with COVID, there's occasions in which both parents are unemployed. It's only offered to one parent per child. So if you are the one that support your child, you can request this dependency allowance. DUA, or Department of Unemployment, defines a dependent child as a child that's under the age of 18, under 24 years of age, and still attending educational school full-time, and any age, but unable to earn wages due to mental or physical incapacity. So there is that dependency allowance that you may be eligible for. Now, there's also taxes and taxes that are due, and these funds that are coming into these benefits are considered earned income, and you will be responsible for paying the taxes on these unemployment benefits. Currently, the withholding rates are 10% for federal income, 5.05% for Massachusetts income. A combination of both, you can request for them to take both out at 15.05%, or you can request that they don't take any taxes out. You should probably consult with your tax preparer. But in either case, whether you pay him now or you pay him later, you will get a 1099-G from the state, and it'll indicate how much your benefits were for the year. Now, when you receive your unemployment insurance benefits, typically the first week used to always be considered a waiting period, and no one was paid for that first week. However, because of COVID-19, that has been waived. So it usually takes about 21 days on average to process an unemployment claim. And during that time, when you open your claim, you'll be asked how do you want to receive your benefits. You have the option of going with direct deposit or a debit card. If you choose direct deposit, keep in mind that you have to provide the bank information, and you'll get that information. You'll get the number to call and provide them with all the numbers that they need. The bank has to approve that deposit, so it takes them approximately anywhere from 10 to 14 business days to approve that initial deposit. And so you need to remember that that's going to happen if you choose direct deposit. If you choose a debit card, then you will get a Bank of America debit card, and you can use that just like you would use any other debit card. Only thing is that keep in mind that if you are not a Bank of America customer and you go into another bank and you withdraw cash, there may be fees involved, and you would be charged those fees on this card. But those are your two options with receiving your unemployment benefits. Now, every week, in order to receive your benefits, you will have to request them. You can log on to your UI claim, your homepage, and you can certify on there by clicking request weekly benefits. Or you can request weekly benefits by going on the telecert line, which is the number that Department of Unemployment uses. That number is 617-626-6338. And it's available as of 6 a.m. every morning up to 10 p.m. In the evening. So because you have the availability in the morning, again, we suggest that you do it as early as possible. However, in order to use the telecert, you first have to create a PIN. And DUA, you would call the DUA PIN selection line at 617-626-6943. And you would request and you create a PIN, and then you would use that to call telecert and request your weekly benefits. Keep in mind that when you are requesting these benefits, you're doing so for the previous week. And so it may be a good idea just to have your calendar in front of you so you can see what was happening that previous week. So what are the questions that you're going to be asked? And it's important because if you've never done it before, you want to make sure that you listen carefully to those questions if you're doing it on the phone. If you're doing it online, you also want to be able to read it and think about what they're asking you. So for example, they're going to ask you for that previous week, did you earn or did you work or earn wages during the reported period listed above? So they're asking you, did you earn any wages working full-time, part-time, any temporary work, any self-employment, any military employment, anything that you've earned wages that was not included when you originally opened up your claim, they're going to want to know. And if you did work part-time and you earned any wages, then they'll ask you how many hours you worked. They'll ask you how much did you gross. They'll also ask you, second question, during the week listed above, were you offered employment? Did you quit a job? were you discharged from a job? And so again, keep in mind, they're not asking you about UMass. They're asking about any other employment. Were you offered employment? This is a temporary furlough. So you're probably going to say no to that. But if you have a part-time job, if you did some kind of temporary work, just keep in mind that's what they're looking for. Third question, during the week listed above, did you receive or apply for income from any other sources that you have not previously reported to us? Again, they're looking for any kind of earned income. So that's what they're interested in. If by any chance you received money from workman's comp or from another source, then you would report that to Department of Unemployment. If you hit the lottery and you don't have to worry about that. But they're just interested in earned income. And then the last question, which I think is the most important question, during the week listed above, were you able to work? Were you available to work? Did you look for work? Now, being able and available means that if UMass calls you and they say, okay, come back now this week, which it's only a 1 week furlough, then you go back. You're able, you're available. You say, yes, I'm going right back. I'll be back Monday. Did you look for work? Because you've answered that you're out of work due to COVID, the agreement is as long as you stay in contact with your employer, then you've fulfilled the criteria. And so you need to, even though you maybe technically didn't look for work, but you stayed in contact with UMass, you would answer yes to that question. So those are the telecert questions. Those are the questions that you have to answer in order to request weekly benefits. Now, can you work part-time? The simple answer to that is yes. Once you know what your benefit rate is, you'll also get what's called an earnings disregard, and that is 1/3 of your weekly benefit amount. So just to give you an easy round figure number, if your weekly benefits are $300 and you can earn up to 1/3, $100, it will not affect your weekly benefits if you earn $100. Now, if you earn $105, now your weekly benefit will be reduced dollar for dollar. So that week, your weekly benefit will be $295 in this example. So, but yes, you can work part-time. Now, if you need additional assistance, if you need, maybe you feel you need assistance in a different language, please call the Department of Unemployment Assistance Teleclaim Center. They will be more than happy to provide you with the information that you need. Their number, 877-626-6800. And we've also spoken to and had meetings with the Mass Hire Franklin Hampshire Career Center, and they are more than willing to also offer their assistance. You can reach them. They have unemployment insurance navigators that can help you with your questions or any issues that may come up. Their number is 413-774-4361. Or you can visit their website at www.masshirefhcareers.org. And when you go onto the website, you can see the different ways in which they can help. Speaking of the website of the Career Center, one of the things that they can do to help is they can provide additional information about the Career Center. And as a matter of fact, if you happen to get a letter from Department of Unemployment asking you, and you may not, because it's a temporary furlough. But just keep in mind that they do hold the Career Center seminars. If you're asked to meet with a RESIA counselor or Reemployment Services and Eligibility Assessment counselor, their job is to make sure that they help you keep your benefits. And if it becomes a mandate for you, then by all means, just make the arrangements and meet and make sure that everything is done in order so it doesn't affect your benefits. But the career centers offer a lot of services, and you can go online, take a look at what they offer, and anything that may interest you, you can definitely become part of that. The Mass Hire Career Center in Greenfield, which may be closer to you, is located on One Arch Place in Greenfield, but there's others throughout Western Mass. If you're closer to Holyoke, there's one on 850 High Street in Holyoke. Springfield has one at 95 Liberty Street, and there's also one out in the Pittsfield area, 160 North Street. And this slide, which will be available to you, will provide you with their phone numbers, and you can go online and also find them. Now, we have some frequently asked questions. I promised you that we would have the UMass Federal ID number for you. That number is 04-600-2284. And like I said, the information is also available for you on the UMass website. Another question, what does unemployment mean by my start and end dates? For a new unemployment claim, DUA is looking for the original date that you started your position with UMass, and the end date is your last working date at UMass. If you're reopening an unemployment claim, then DUA is looking for your most recent return to work date as your start date, and the end date is your last working date at UMass. What should I put for reason for separation? Again, it's important that you remember this. You would put layoff as your reason for separation. What do I do if I was laid off previously from UMass within the last 52 weeks? Do I reopen my claim? Yes. You'll be required to reopen that existing claim. It's there for 52 weeks. Can I work a separate part-time job or a consulting job and still collect unemployment benefits? Yes. You'll need to report your earnings weekly when you request benefits, and any W-2 or 1099 earnings you must report to unemployment. When requesting weekly benefits, how do I know if I'm able, available, and looking for work? Well, you must be physically able, available to return to work, and you must stay in touch with UMass. And we're going to open up the question and answer now, but keep in mind that if you have a question that is directed or should be directed to your HR department, then you can ask that, and Joe had an email address where you can address some of these questions. So thank you for your attention. Now we're going to open up to questions and answers, and Carol and Megan are going to take these.
Okay, so we've had quite a few questions come through. First one, it says, I will be taking my 2-week furlough 1 week at a time. How does that affect how I apply for benefits?
Well, it depends if you are reopening or opening, because you are going to have to do that. So I'll go back to the example that Lewis used in the presentation. So if this week is your last week of working, then you're going to open your claim next week. So you'll open your claim as early as Sunday if you do it online. If you are going to call it into the call center, you have to do that Monday through Friday, but you have all week to open your claim. So you'll do it that week, and then you'll start answering the questions on Sunday, the 25th. I'm looking at a calendar. If then the 26th you go back to work, then you will, I have to flip my calendar. You will go back to work, and then the week that again you're unemployed, it may tell you you have to reopen, but most likely the claim will still be open. So they'll ask you what you worked last week, and then you'll have to fill in that you're unemployed this week. And again, you're going to request benefits on the 8th.
Thanks, Carol. What if we work half in Vermont and half in Massachusetts? I was laid off first UVM for 1 week, then UMass. I was not able to get unemployment in Mass for the week. Now I am being furloughed again for 2 weeks. How do I get unemployment in Massachusetts?
So it depends. If you have an open claim in Vermont, you have to complete that claim in Vermont. If you did not open a claim in Vermont, you can open a claim in Massachusetts. And when you're entering in your employment for the last 15 months, it will ask you if this is a Mass employer. You'll say yes, you'll put the federal ID number in, and when they ask, is this a Mass employer for your Vermont employer, you'll say no, it's Vermont, and you'll put in the Vermont information. But again, if you have an existing claim, you have to go with that existing claim first, whatever state it's in.
Thanks, Carol. Next question, Lewis may have addressed it, but I want to just reemphasize. What specifically do we have to do differently from last time, given most of us already have claims from the summer that are not currently active? Do we have to date the time our job started from the date we came back after the last furlough, for example?
Exactly. So with a reopen, again, you have to be in unemployment to open your claim. So you, for instance, you'll log on to your portal, and over to the left-hand side, you'll click on the reopen tab. The dates that you will use is your most recent dates. So it'll be your June or July date that you went back to work with UMass and your last working date. Those are the dates you'll use.
Thank you. I mistakenly entered leave of absence instead of laid off, and now my account is in adjudication for the week of furlough I took from September 21st to September 25th. How can I get this adjudicated quickly?
Unfortunately, there's no way to address that except through adjudication. They should have sent you a questionnaire. I hope you filled it out and sent it back, because there's they're very time sensitive. So when you reopen a claim or open a new claim, very, very important, folks, to make sure that you're looking at your inbox in your portal, or if you are having the correspondence sent to your home, that you're watching for those correspondence, because again, they're time sensitive. But if it was back in June, you probably have to contact unemployment to have that adjudicated if you didn't fill out. It sounds like if they haven't adjudicated it, you never filled out the questionnaire. So most likely you'll have to go back and revisit that. Anything you don't do today will follow you with unemployment. So if for some reason you had a situation back in June, it will be still sitting there if you didn't take care of it, unfortunately. And I will mention there was several folks that were locked out due to a situation where the state of Massachusetts had several fraud accounts, and they need to verify your who you are or your ID. Joe is making a list of those, and we can see if we can have unemployment check those through the union. So we will be addressing those. But again, if you didn't take care of a situation back in June, it's going to follow you. If you got a letter back in June to attend a Career Center seminar and you didn't do that, you're going to have to do it now, because again, it's going to follow you.
Okay, I'm going to need some clarity. I go on my first week of furlough on 11/2. I apply on 11/1, right? I heard Mr. Fernandez say something regarding the following week when I go back to work. Thank you.
So if you're starting your furlough on November 2nd, then you are going to open your claim that week. So again, you have to be in unemployment in order to open an unemployment claim or reopen an unemployment claim. So you will reopen your claim between the 1st and the 6th of November. Your last working day will probably be, I'm guessing on this, I don't know your individual situation, October 30th. And then you need to request benefits each week you're in unemployment, and you will start that the week of the 8th. So between the 8th and the 13th, you're going to request your benefits. Again, if you're laid off the week of the 2nd, you'll request benefits the following week. So that means you're going to answer the series of questions. So you'll log into your portal, and over to the left, it will say request benefits. You click on that and answer the series of questions. Remember, it's a layoff, and you will continue doing that. So if you are furloughed the first week in November and the second week in November, you will continue to do that, request the benefits for those 2 weeks. If you're back to work, let's say on the 9th, then again, you'll request the benefits the 8th through the 13th. You're always requesting benefits for the previous week. And you'll go back to work, and then you'll do the same steps with a reopen when you have your second week of furlough. But if it's continuous, then you're going to request the benefits twice. Meg?
Okay, next question. I am a foster parent and have had my foster daughter for over 6 months, so she is considered our dependent, and we will be claiming her on our taxes this year. Would she be considered a dependent for unemployment purposes?
If you are claiming her on taxes, then you can claim her on unemployment. You know, you contribute to the household 50%, as Lewis said, then you can claim them. Just keep in mind that if both folks that are working in the household are laid off, only one person can claim that child on their unemployment. Both people can't claim the same child.
Okay. To be clear, if we opened a claim in the summer for the first 1 week furlough. Are you saying that for this second furlough, we should reopen our claim, not open a new claim?
Correct. A claim will stay active for 52 weeks. So if you were furloughed in June and you collected that 1 week in June, then you will open your portal, or you can call in to customer service, the call center, but you can open your portal, and again, over to the left-hand side, it'll have a tab that says reopen your claim. You'll click on that reopen and it will ask you the series of questions. Okay.
I reopened the claim last week. Now the status says hold. What does that mean? Do I need to call them?
Hold means it's processing. An unemployment claim, if it's a new claim, it could take 3 or 4 weeks to process. You have to keep in mind that if you're doing direct deposit, especially if it's a new claim, it'll take the minimum of 10 to 14 days to process the direct deposit. And that is the banking industry that verifies all that information. If it's a reopen, it might be a little less time. It might be 2 weeks. If there's no issues and everything, the process runs smooth, it could be 2 to 3 weeks. But hold means basically that the account is on hold and it hasn't processed yet. Meg?
Do we somehow have to keep our claim open between our 2-week furlough times so it does not close again?
Well, you can do that a couple ways. You can definitely go in and claim the weeks that you are working if you have 2 weeks in between your furlough. So you can go in and answer the questions. That will probably direct the claim to close because you are not in unemployment. If you leave the account and don't answer the questions and then go back in, an unemployment account usually will stay active for 14 days before it closes automatically. And the reason it does that, it just, it's a computer system and they have it tagged for about 14 days. And if you're not using the system, it automatically closes saying they're out of unemployment. They don't need the claim. Meg?
I have a side job delivering orders through Shipt. If I earn money that way during my furloughs, I have to report that. Will it decrease the amount of unemployment money I get?
Okay. So if you have a part-time job, you want to declare that when it's earned. So the weeks that it's earned. When you request your benefits, the first question that you're going to have to answer is, did you work and earn income? You would say yes to that. It's going to ask how many hours and what the gross income was. And as Lewis said earlier, you are allowed to make 1/3 of your benefit rate and still collect your benefits. And that amount is on your earnings statement, which is the first correspondence that you will receive from unemployment. As soon as you open your claim, whether you open it now or you opened it in June, that's the first correspondence that you receive from unemployment. And that disregard amount will be on there, but you can figure it out. It's 1/3 of whatever your benefit rate is. So again, to mention what Lewis did earlier, that 1/3, if you earned 600 with UMass, your unemployment is 300 a week. That 1/3 is going to be that $100. If you go over that $100, it's dollar for dollar. So if you were to earn $101, then your unemployment goes down to $299. The money stays in your claim So if you were a full-time person and you received the full 26 weeks of unemployment, you may at the end be collecting 27 weeks because you didn't take all those weeks. So you might have some money, it might be a partial week at the end, but you might have 27 weeks of unemployment versus 26. Meg?
Actually, I believe you might have just answered this question as well, but I'm going to just reemphasize this. When will we find out what our weekly benefit amount is?
Usually, in the formula, again, that Lewis gave earlier, which is in the presentation, they will take the 4 completed quarters, the last 4 completed quarters. So right now, that would be the 3 quarters of 2020 and the last quarter of 2019, if you're opening a new claim. They'll find the 2 highest quarters. They'll find your average pay and you get 50% of that. So you can kind of figure that out in your head. But the first correspondence from unemployment will usually come within 7 to 10 days. It's usually quicker than that. Because unemployment is kind of attached to the Department of Revenue. So they get that information very, very quickly. And that'll be the first correspondence that you'll receive. And like I said, it's usually between 7 and 10 days from opening your claim. If you're reopening a claim, you already received that information and your benefit rate has already been determined. That will not change from 52 weeks from when you opened your claim in June. So you can't open a new claim until June of 21. We get asked a lot, you know, I was working an extra job or something just recently. That monies will not be included in a claim that's in the process, meaning you've used some of it. So if you were furloughed in June, or if you open a new claim, that monies will be, you'll be able to utilize that money. And it's monies from any employer from the last 15 months. So it's part-time job, it could be self-employment. We're not looking for things like winning the lottery or anything like that. It has to be earned income. Meg?
Well, since you're on the topic of income, if you are already receiving your Social Security benefit because you're over 66, is that considered income?
It is considered income, and unemployment is going to ask you the question in reference to that. And you will have to say yes, that you are receiving Social Security. They will ask how much, but it does not affect unemployment. The other thing I'm going to go into right now is pension. This was a question that was brought to us yesterday. If you are collecting a pension from, let's say, GE, that will not affect your unemployment. You will have to let them know that you're collecting this pension. You will have to let them know how much. If you are collecting a pension from UMass, that will affect your unemployment. They can kind of consider that double dipping, and they will review that. Again, you'll have to state that you're receiving it from UMass or the Commonwealth or wherever you're receiving it from, and they will review it. But when you're opening your initial claim, they will ask that series of questions. Meg?
Okay, let's see. My answer to the question, are you looking for a job, is no. So how can I correct it?
You have to get in contact with unemployment, so I would call customer service. The criteria to collecting unemployment insurance is you must be able, available, and looking for work. You must be able to work if called on. So if you're collecting some type of disability or something along that line, you're not able to work, you cannot collect unemployment insurance. So able to work, available to work. So you have to be available. If Mass called you tomorrow, you have to be available to work. And looking for work, yes, you have to be looking for work. You have to be, number one, in contact with UMass. So if UMass said to you, can you come back tomorrow? You would say yes to them. And you're in contact with them. You're in contact with the union. So you're able to say, yes, you are looking for work.
To
The
spin
other
off
thing
of,
I want to emphasize that backing up a little bit here, I want to remind folks that if you have any encounters with the career centers, everything right now is virtual because of COVID-19. So if you have to do a career center seminar, it's virtual. If you want assistance, one-on-one assistance in having someone help you with your unemployment, you can contact the Franklin Hampshire Career Center. They have offered to assist folks. Again, you have to call because everything is either by phone or virtual. Go ahead, Nick.
okay. So to spin off of the work search, it says, I recall during applying for benefits the first time that after I answered yes that I was looking for work, a few screens later, it was asking to provide a log of where I looked for work. How should we address this?
UMass, the union, and you could even put furloughed / networking down. All those are acceptable actions for looking for work.
And someone is just looking for clarification, start and end dates. Are we using Saturday as end dates and Sunday as start dates?
No. If you're reopening a claim, you'll go back to June or July when you went back to work. That would be your start date. Your end date will be the last date that you physically worked. So if it was a Saturday, then that's going to be your date. If you're opening a new claim, your start date will be the first day you started with UMass, whether it be a year ago, 6 months ago, or 20 years ago. That will be the date that you use to open a new claim. And again, the same, your last day of work, of physically working, will be your last day that you use to reopen or open a claim.
Are we taking a 2-week furlough weeks consecutively? Would I apply for UI benefits the week I go back to work?
No. If you are being furloughed the first week in November, that is your first week in unemployment. As soon as you are in unemployment, I would recommend opening your claim. So if you're being furloughed the 2nd of November through the 13th of November, then you're going to open your claim between the 1st and the 6th. You're going to start answering the questions or requesting benefits the 8th through the 13th, so you can do it any day. The reason we state, and Lewis stated earlier, to do it earlier in the week, if you answer the questions, they call it certifying. If you answer the questions earlier in the week when your claim is being processed and you start to get paid, you get paid quicker. If you answer the questions on Sunday and Monday's not a holiday, you'll get paid on Tuesday. But again, this is going to take 3 or 4 weeks to process a new claim, or even 2 to 3 weeks for a reopen. But, and then with the same example, again, you're furloughed from the 2nd to the 13th. Then you will also, on the week of the 15th through the 20th, you're going to answer the questions again. Of course, you're always answering the questions for the previous week. So on the 15th, you'll be answering the questions from the 8th to the 13th.
So for a reopen, do I not need start and stop dates from previous employers?
Correct. Your unemployment claim, if I'm understanding the question, your unemployment claim is already established. You're reopening it. When you reopen your claim, you're using the day that you went back to work just recently with UMass, whether it be June or July, whatever date that is, and your end date will be the last day that you physically worked. Did I get that one, Meg?
Yes. And to piggyback on that, I have someone who had a furlough week in June, has another one coming up, and then a third week later on down the road. And I just want to confirm, will the employment start date for the third week be the day they returned after the week 2 furlough?
Yes, very good point. Thank you. So yes, if you are furloughed the first week in November and you reopen your claim that week, and then you answer the questions, let's say on the 8th or the 8th through the 13th, and then you don't furlough till December, they'll ask you when you reopen at that time when your last start date was, and it would be the 9th if that's when you went back to work. So your start date would be for reopen would be the 9th of November, and then the end date would be the last working day. Great question. Have to remember that for tomorrow, Meg.
What happens if your furlough week is during a holiday week, for instance, Christmas week?
Well, that's an HR question because I don't know how that's going to work, whether they get paid for the holiday or not paid for the holiday. That would have to be addressed to HR.
Okay. I didn't start a claim for my June furlough week at the end of that week. And when I went to file a couple of weeks later, it looked like I missed my window of opportunity. So I thought I couldn't file. When I went to file for the furlough I took already this October, I saw that it looks like I can still file for June. Is this correct? If yes, do I open a claim for June and then submit and then reopen for the October furlough?
In that particular situation, I would call unemployment. You need to speak with them. I don't, one thing that folks have to keep in mind, all unemployment claims are individualized. I would have to look at that particular claim, but the fastest way to get that rectified or know where you are is to call unemployment's customer service and verify what is needed for back in June so you can reopen now in October.
Okay. I'm just verifying a couple of things because it looks like we're starting to get very repetitive.
Anything else you can think of, Lewis, that we might have? Did Social Security, did pension? Joe, anything you can think of?
I did get a question yesterday of a person who was full-time. Because of the COVID, they've been reduced in hours, so they're now part-time. can they apply for unemployment?
Absolutely. So if in this situation, you have to think the person is on reduced hours. So yes, they would open an unemployment claim. When you get to the question, have you worked and earned income? You're going to say yes. You're going to put in the number of hours and put in the gross amount that you earned. And it'll process from there. But absolutely, if your hours are reduced, the one thing you have to remember is the 1/3 rule. With my example again about the $300 you're getting from unemployment, you're able to work and earn $100. You go over that, it's dollar for dollar. If you were to earn the 300 plus the 100, which is $400 in that example, you're not in unemployment. Usually the cutoff for that scenario is if someone's working 30 hours, that's usually where the cutoff is, meaning you might not be able to collect unemployment. You might be making too much money, but I would go ahead and try it if that's where you are. If it's 50%, definitely put a unemployment claim in.
Thank you.
Okay, Carol, I have another question. You had mentioned in speaking of the reopenings before that you cannot open a new claim until June of 2021. Can you just clarify that?
So if you were furloughed in June, and this was the first time that you opened a new unemployment claim, then that claim will stay with you for 52 weeks. It's active for 52 weeks. So you know, if you're furloughed four or 5 times during the year, you are able to access that until June of next year. June of next year, you'll have to open a new claim.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Louis.
I'm surprised it hasn't come up yet, but is the additional $600 or $300 available to me right now?
Great question, Louis. I'm sorry to say at this time, there are no federal funds, there's no grant monies, so there's no additional monies that are attached to unemployment as of right now. If you are requesting benefits for back in June, there was the 600 federal pandemic monies. So if you are declaring that, like the person who asked about their claim back in June, then you would probably get that $600.
Okay, I will be taking furlough weeks during the time I'm to be on medical leave. So what do I answer the question, were you able to work?
If you are not able to work, you are not able to collect unemployment insurance, unfortunately. You must be able, available, and looking for work.
Okay. I think that sums up
Great.
everything that we can answer.
Great. So I just want to thank the panel again. I want to thank Carol and Megan and Louis and John. Your expertise is much appreciated. You just fielded a whole slew of questions that has just helped a lot of people. It's, you know, providing information in one central location, incredibly helpful. Thanks so much for last June, last week, yesterday, today, and for tomorrow. I'd like also to credit some people behind the scenes that made this presentation possible. There's some key people from HR like Kelly Pleasant, Kevin Kerwood, Helen Bowler. There's also some key union people, particularly from the PSU and USA unions. Brad Turner, Risa Silverman, Leslie Marsland, thanks very much. A reminder that if you have more questions, you might want to go to our website. We're gathering all this information on our site. You'll see recordings of these sessions, you'll see guides, you'll see frequently asked questions, you'll see translations. The address again is www.umass.edu/worker-ed/furlough. And we also have courses that you might want to take advantage of while you're on furlough, you're eligible. Thanks, Jeff. Again, bottom right, that's our email address. Feel free to visit it. And if you have UMass specific questions, and I'm sure you do, in yellow, that's the HR hotline to answer all COVID questions. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day today. And thank you, everyone.